in the studio, give us a call at 901-260-5926. Again, the number is 901-260-5926. Or you want to watch us on the live stream, log on to relationshipunleashed.com and watch us live on live stream. Also, stay tuned for the release of our magazine, the Unleashed Voice magazine.
Yeah!
We're trying to spread this message, spread this word, and we're trying to do something innovative, make our own path, and leave a trail behind for generations to come. So stay tuned for the release of our magazine release party. More details coming soon on next week. All right, back to you, Gwendolyn.
Okay.
You were talking about making people cry.
No, I wasn't.
Fix my life, Gwendolyn. Hold my hand. Exhale.
You know I can do it.
So you were saying?
No, we was just talking about the impact.
Okay.
Working in the community, and I was just talking about the nonprofit and just going out because the need. There definitely is a need, especially in this area for the LGBTQ community. And we see it in the services that we try to bring and introduce the community to, but we need more people to take advantage of the services. They're free. Well, they've been free all of 2015, and we have dynamic people that we bring in to help us promote the message and the learning. You know, we search for people with credentials that make sure they're giving good information to change this paradigm shift that we need from the spiritual warfare and to teach people how to overcome trust issues, have better relationships, learn how to, be better stewards, especially in the churches and the things that Dr. Gooch was talking about. So it won't be solved easily or overnight. But it's the conversation. I think anytime you have a conversation, it's an opening door, and it's good to have it.
Well, I agree. Mike and Earl, what's going on in Louisiana, in your world right now, and the struggle that you guys had making history? And
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us. We feel honored to be here and be a part of what is a great opportunity and the work that you guys are doing. We've been following you guys on Facebook and just very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you for being trailblazers and being brave to make the step that you made. You and Mike have made it. You and Earl have made it. My mother has made it. I'm going to stay shacking for the rest of my life. So I'm going to stay in sin. Go ahead.
Well, on June 26th, which was the day that the Supreme Court handed down the decision that marriage equality was legal throughout the land, we were on our way to the Vital Records Office, which is where you get your marriage license in the state of Louisiana. I actually work in that building. I'm a social worker, and I work for this for the Office of Public Health.
Wow.
And so fortunately, I was right there when it was time to do it. And so we got the message like, get married. And so we went in and I started filling out the application. Earl was kind of like a few minutes behind me, but I started filling out the application and I was extremely nervous. I had friends that were there in support of us and they were there helping out and what have you. I remember having to strike out the word groom, bride, because there was no bride. And so it was obvious, even at that point, well, the forms haven't been changed. That may mean that we might come up against a problem. But I was still very optimistic at that point. And it's a little while later, Earl joined me. I think I had already turned in the application by that point, and so we were just sitting waiting. And the wait turned in from 1 hour to 2 hours and then 3 hours. And around noontime, I think we both started looking at one another and started realizing that, okay, something might be up here. We thought they were stalling to find some answer to give us, or we started getting less optimistic about things. And sure enough, they sent a communications director from the city of Baton Rouge, which is about an hour and a half away, to give us the official word that you were not getting married today. So she handed those words, and I think Earl did a great job of kind of putting into words kind of our feelings at the time. And I think that's a lot of what kind of traveled around the country at one time about how we were feeling discriminated against, and and that it was just not right. It wasn't fair, and it was the law of the land. They were breaking the law and all these other things. And you could tell the young lady who was from communications was just kind of devastated about having to do it in the first place. So it was a really surreal type of moment at that time. And I want Earl to share kind of one of the things that he was feeling at that time.
So when they came in at the end of the day, because we had been there probably since they opened that morning at 8 o'clock, and so probably around 2 o'clock they had come in, and we were getting information from the individuals in the media, and so I just felt devastated when she came in. I kind of felt embarrassed, and I told Michael that as we walked. I kind of felt like defeated, and I felt like my dignity was kind of taken away. And so that kind of, and I'm a hard guy, and so stuff doesn't bother me, but that kind of bothered me, and I kind of felt embarrassed and defeated. And so we walked out of there, and we went across the street to the courthouse where the media was, and we spoke to the media for a couple of minutes, and I just kind of, but that defeat only lasted for like a few minutes, because I kind of felt like it was eventually going to happen. And so we talked to the media, and then later on that day we went and spoke at a rally, and surrounded by a multitude of LGBT individuals, black, white, old, young, straight people. And so we said our work, we shared a bit of what happened to us there, and I kind of felt better going into the weekend. But one thing I just want to impress upon, or I just want to share that was remarkable, was the fact that you had, when people came and sat and talked with us that day, and they were getting their marriage licenses that day, there were Asian adults, black, white, old, young, who came and congratulated us, which to me indicated that our society was growing up, or is growing up, and they were able to see love for what it is, and they were able to take their own issue, their values, attitudes, and beliefs out of the scenario, and just see two human beings loving each other. So despite the fact that we weren't able to get married Friday, that made me feel really, really good, seeing a multitude of different people come and talk to us and congratulate us and encourage us to move on and try to get what we deserved.
I remember we were in Atlanta. Actually, when the announcement came down, Damien was actually teaching a class. We were at Vision Church, and so the church just went up, and everybody started crying, and that was that Friday. And later that evening, when we made it back to the hotel, and I turned the TV on, and I saw y'all on the TV, I was like, wait a minute, that's my friend. So I was like, turn it up, turn it up, turn it up. What happened? So I was like, oh man. So it was like the whole weekend, y'all was on CNN, and you was on just interviews. I was like, wow. And I started on Facebook, and you get them.
Well, in my mind, that's where God stepped in, at least in my mind, because we were just fortunate at that time, and blessed, if I can say that we had friends, connections, and things like that led to CNN interviews and what have you. So that was, the CNN interview is really what made all the difference in the world, because once we were there, literally minutes later, people were texting us and calling us saying, oh, I just saw it. Other stations started picking it up, other headline news folks started picking up the story, and then it started gaining legs of its own. And so we were fortunate, because that weekend it put a lot of pressure on our governor to do something, and so we were kind of glad to be a part of that pressure.
And it feels good to be a part of history, and it feels good to see the truth changes.
And that's kind of coincides with what you talked about this spiritual warfare, because for Christians, if they want to view it in that instance, as the evil forces are trying to take over what you feel, that you're owed in God's eyes, and then here your faith prompt change, and that's that spiritual warfare.
But it's so interesting that you say that, because one of the questions from CNN was about because the big talk at the time, and still even now, was religious freedoms. And as you might remember, our governor...
We have a call?
Yes.
We do?
Name's Timothy.
Hold on 1 second. Go ahead, put them on.
Okay.
Timothy, you're on the livest show on KWAM 990 on this side of the tri-state region. Go ahead, Timothy. He said the who?
The Sodomites.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
By you?
We'll cut him off.
Nah, we like that.
Oh, I get him. Well, who are you to speak on God's behalf and the law? I thought so. Bye, Felicia. Go ahead, hang him up. Bye, Felicia. Now, back to you. What you call this show talking that mess?
Sodomites.
Sodomites. You idiot. But go ahead.
And I'm glad that he called to say that, because that also kind of rings true with what I was about to
Spiritual
say.
warfare.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Because
Exactly.
the question at the time was, well, what about the religious freedom of individuals like who don't want to sell cakes to folks who are getting married and that sort of thing, which is ridiculous. You don't have to give service to anybody you don't want to give to if you don't want to.
Right.
But so for me, one of the things that I said, well, what about my religious freedom?
Absolutely.
I am a born again Christian and unapologetic gay Christian. So I'm like, what about my religious freedoms? I believe that God has put this man in my life for me. So, I don't want to try to tell anyone else what they can or cannot do when it's in the presence of their God. So I don't want anybody to try to tell me either. As long as I'm not harming someone else, then I feel like that's fine.
And see, that's where we are as a society now, based upon Mr. Timothy's phone call, and we have all of this chaos that's roaming the world right now, and you have these wars going back and forth. That's why people can't get along, all this violence, this terrorism, because people are unwelcome even in the place where God has called them to be welcome in, and a lot of people are not able to live their life freely because of all this prejudice.
But see, you got to really put Timothy in his place.
Go ahead,
yes.
because I'm going to put him in a minute. Go ahead.
About the
I'm sure he sodomized his wife when he had sex with her.
He is not he's not a defender of the Bible.
Right.
You understand? Because if he was, then Timothy would have billboards all over the city protesting everything that we see in our society today. Because if he was that devoted to the Bible, then he would call in and protest, take off divorce court off TVs. Why do we have divorce courts in the courthouse right now? Why do we have divorce lawyers and judges? You understand? They promote divorces. So he's not a defender of the Bible. Why do we have crab feast? Crab feast. Why do we have red lobsters all over the cities? Why do we have the dog track right across the bridge and all the casinos right down the road? Why do we walk around in all these mixed fabric?
Okay.
Why do we play football on artificial turf every Sunday? But they sell the stadiums out. You understand?
Yeah.
Why do we prostitute the things that go on? So he is not a defender of the Bible.
Well, why are you free? You're supposed to be a slave.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right. So as they want to purport whatever it is, it's their own issue that people like him have. Because did he sell his daughter? Did he sell his daughter? Did he sell her?
Self-hatred is real.
He's
Self-hatred.
supposed to sell his daughter. Let's go back to the Old Testament. Did he sell her? It's supposed to be how many sheep?
Well, child, let's
And a
talk.
cow? I'm just saying, because you have listeners that get influenced by a call like that, and then the validation comes,
Yes.
and the
yes,
confirmation
yes,
comes,
yes,
and then he
yes.
want to throw it in the air. Well, baby, guess what? We passed all that. We passed all that. And as a Christian and as a minister of the gospel, I know the truth. So that there does not serve as a means to make me feel ashamed. This is the gay radio show. You're exactly right. That's what we are on AM 990 Talk Radio, baby. Every Saturday, 5 o'clock Central. You can get some because we're not ashamed.
No.
You're right, Michael. We're
Amen.
unapologetic.
If I can
We're
speak, sir.
unbothered.
Yes.
We
Yes,
love
ma'am.
phone
I can
calls
speak.
like that because when he throw a scripture, we can throw one back.
Because that's what the scripture is
You
for.
allow me?
It's to liberate you. is to make you free from people like him. You know, how can we profess who God is? You know, and we're still in bondage ourselves. You know, it's time for us to stop going back to Pharaoh.